We will discuss today a very important topic, and this is a topic which is very practical, and you are going to use this one, the learnings today, in your daily lives. We'll be talking about property. So, what is property? Okay. So, under the civil law, comprehends every legal or every species of title, okay, inchoate or complete, legal or equitable. So, keyword there is every species of title. So, that also refers to title of lands, okay? So, these are very important topic. Now, we go into a very important classification of property. We will only focus on two. One is that as to its nature, which is real or personal property. The other term for personal property is movable property, or the other one is real, which is called in general as immovable property. So we will distinguish later on its importance. But before that, I go to another classification, which is as to its ownership. It could be owned by the public or by private individual. We go to the first classification, as I mentioned, real or personal. What constitute real properties? Okay. In general, what's the general classification or definition of real property? Those are immovable property. So immovable property, one that is fixed on a particular place. Okay. So what are those real properties? Lands, trees, okay, everything attached to the immovable. Okay, statues, reliefs, paintings. Those are real properties. Another classification again, or of the same real properties, machinery, okay, receptacles, instruments, animal houses, pigeons, houses. Okay, take note, these definitions is very important because at that time they only have their properties are more on animals, but now we have complicated kinds of real properties. But at that time, at the time this was crafted, because our law was brought to us by the Spaniards, and these are laws applies to all countries colonized by the Spaniards. So fertilizers actually used, okay, mines, quarries, docks, okay, contracts of public works are all real properties or immovable properties. What's the importance of knowing that? As to its tax, okay, it is taxed differently from personal properties. But there are other classes of real properties, okay, and these are not among the 10 that I mentioned. Okay, immovables by nature, okay, immovables by incorporation, meaning the property by nature itself is immovable, like land. Those are immovable properties. That is why we have the word real estate, because that means it is a sale of, it refers to lands which are real properties. We go to immovable properties. What are those immovable properties? Those movable susceptible of appropriation. Okay? Real properties by which special provisions of law considered to be personal. Example is mortgage, okay? Mortgage of a property. A parties may enter into a chattel mortgage. A chattel mortgage is a contract which in the nature it is personal. A building, for example, may be under a chattel mortgage. Chattel mortgage is a personal, um, it's a mortgage of personal property. But you can use real property in a chattel mortgage. So the contract or the property used in a chattel mortgage is a real property, but the contract is a personal property. Okay. So what is the effect? The contract in itself is it's a chattel mortgage using real property as a subject of the contract. Okay. Generally, it is supposedly real estate mortgage, but you can use a building which is a real property in a chattel mortgage. So, chattel mortgage supposedly is for personal properties, like for example, cars. In case you cannot pay the car, the bank may own it, and that mortgage assurance of payment is called chattel mortgage. Why? Because using a car as an assurance of payment is called chattel mortgage. Can you use a building in a chattel mortgage? Yes, that's what I said. Okay, you can use a building in a chattel mortgage, making that building, which is a real property, as an assurance of the payment. In case you cannot pay it, then the building will be sequestered, okay, in favor now of the creditor. The creditor in that contract of mortgage is called the mortgagor. Now, forces of nature, okay, and general things which can be transported from one place to another. So in general, these are movable. Like what? Cars, jewelry, anything that can be transferred and moved from one place to another is called personal property. Okay? So, can you now distinguish real property from personal property? How about a machinery? Let's say a water pump, the fuel pump used in the gasoline station. It can be transferred, right? From the place where you bought, you bring it there to put there permanently. Is that a personal property? No more. It's not a personal property. Why? Because it is intended by the owner to put there permanently in that water, in that gas station. So that makes it a real property. Although it can be transferred. So do not be confused. If the machinery is transported from one place to another, but the intention is to put there permanently, that becomes a real property. How about a gas pipe? A gas pipe, like in Bataan, there's a pipe underneath which gas flows from a very far place going to the gas station. What is the nature of that? Is it real or personal? That is a personal property. Okay? In fact, in transportation, that is even considered as a transportation. Okay? So, it is considered as a it's like a vehicle that transport one person to another or commodities. Even a pipe, as long as it is used for transferring goods, that is considered as a personal property and also a subject of under transportation, or it's called carriage. So we go to the classification of property by object. Okay, we have the real or immovable. Okay. Property may be real or immovable. Okay. As I discussed, we have by nature, by its I think I discussed that one already. So let's proceed to another classification. Okay. By what's the other classification as I've said? Okay. As to ownership by public dominion and by private. What do you mean by public dominion? The property may be owned by a public, it's called public dominion, and the other one it may be owned by a private individual or private ownership. What is public dominion or property owned by the state? Okay? Anything that is for public, okay, an exercise of its sovereign right by the state, okay, and intended for public use and not for the use of the state as a juridical person, that is considered as a public dominion. A public school, is it a public dominion? Huh? Okay. So we have to distinguish the meaning of public use, okay, and for public service, because it's very important to know that, because not all things owned by government is for public use. Okay? Can you distinguish this school from the road? Can you distinguish? This is owned by government, right? Can you distinguish this one, the school where you are right now, and the street? What's the difference? Huh? Yeah, anybody can use the street, but not everybody can go to CNU. Okay? So take note of that distinction. So, public dominion or property owned by the state or its public or sovereign capacity and intended for public use. Okay? What are those? Refers to the streets, anything that can be, that anybody can use. That is the other part of public dominion. The other one is, okay, not for the state as its juridical person. CNU is a juridical person, although owned by government, but in the exercise of its juridical person. Okay. So how about the following property are a public dominion? What are those public dominion? One, those intended, okay, for public use such as roads, canals, rivers, torrents, ports, and bridges constructed by the state. Banks, not PNB or DBP. Refers to river banks, shores, roadsteads, and others of similar character. So those are of public dominion. Now, but as to who will determine whether that road or shore belongs to a private owner or belongs to the state. Because let us say, for example, a shore has no uniform shores, right? Because land, for example, especially in the province, are in a different contour. Okay? The different terrain, for example, would not even be classified as